Alright, welcome to episode 6 of Modular Monday. I am Microwave Nachos, and today we're going to be talking about how to integrate Ableton into your modular or Eurorack setup. Alright, so for time purposes, I'm trying to keep these a lot shorter now. I have already made the sequence and setup here. I'm just going to go over what I have. I just have a drum kit here to play a drum track. I already have the track laid out over here the way I want to do it. So if you just start this from scratch, you would need some type of interface to have MIDI output from Ableton. I use the Scarlett 2i4. I just send a MIDI output into the MIDI input of the Nifty case, and then that splits it into two different CV and gate signals as well as the clock signal. So I use the main CV and gate to control the plats. The other gate I'll go over later with the other track in here is being used to modulate the model on the plats. So it's kind of a basic patch we have set up here. Like I said, we have the CV and gate going to plats. We have the channel 2 gate from Ableton going to the model here. We have two unsynced LFOs modulating stuff on the clouds. We have this new Clep Diaz here, which I'm starting to really love so far. We have the beginning of cycle triggering this envelope, which triggers the it was malted because I was going to use it for other stuff, but I didn't, so it's just triggering the filter on the eudaimonia, the main output going through the filter, through clouds, through my reverb, to the output of the case, back into the interface. I'm not doing any processing other than general leveling, so this is a pretty standard sound for what you're going to hear if you have this type of setup. Alright, so if we go back to Ableton here, all we would do from scratch, once you have your hardware set up and your patch set up, you would create an audio track, create a MIDI track. You're going to need two MIDI tracks. So the audio track you would just set up and route from, for instance, mine is on 2, set up your auto monitor or your monitor on auto. For instance, this would be you would send the MIDI output to USB, your interface. This is going to be channel 1, and then this one's going to be channel 2. So essentially with my case, I'm able to sequence two different channels of notes and gates here and have them come out and split out of this little divider here. If you didn't have this type of case, they make modules that do that where you can take MIDI signals and split them into CV and gates. You could do it from a lot of sequencers. But I don't have as much money right now, and I just got started, so I'm trying to buy more modules that make sound and just use the sequencers that I already have. I'm trying to make the best of what I have, and I don't want to buy too many sequencers right now because I'd rather buy more things for the voices themselves. So I'm trying to utilize the sequencers that I already have. I always recommend less is more. You don't need to buy everything to make everything. This is more than enough to make many different types of sounds and songs. Alright, so we are back on Ableton. We're back to just the sequence I had, so if we go ahead and play this, this is the sequence that I programmed. So it's just CV1, so it's sending the CV and gate information just from 1 right now, so we'll just give you an example of that. Alright, so now what's cool about this is the way that I use this, because I only have one synth voice here, I tend to use this one to just send out other sequences to trigger events rather than other notes to affect it. So for instance, I'll play the sequence and I'm just sending this. It's a simple, it's just an arpeggio on here. And then we've got, here's the sequence itself. But I'll play the track first and then we'll switch it with that on. You'll hear what it does. So all it's doing is instead of sending notes out, it's sending gate triggers out. And I'm just sending the gate to the model switch on here. So it's just triggering a model switch whenever the arpeggio hits, and it's just causing like this, rhythmic variation. Just another cool way to use it. Ableton is awesome because there's a lot more possibilities you can do in terms of the sequencing for something you already have in terms of a program. Because the sequencers I've been looking at, I'm looking at having to spend a couple $100 and to be able to do this type of stuff individually of each other. I do have other outboard gear that I'm going to start implementing. I'm going to make another video for next week about how to implement your already existing hardware gear into your Eurorack, but that's for another video. So yeah, I'll just go over what we have here. So if you just have the sequence by itself, this is all the sequence is without anything, right? Kind of cool, but still a little boring, right? So then I added, this is the kind of stuff that would cost you probably a pretty penny to be able to do within a module. So it's kind of nice being able to just do this if you already have Ableton. But I just took a scale, I put a chord on there, and then I put an arpeggio with a little pattern, fixed it to my liking. So I'll go ahead and flip these on, and you'll hear what it does. So what this allows you to do is essentially program a sequence and evolve your actual song on the synth itself. It's a really fun way to make music. It's kind of more closer to generative music than playing it. These are very, very simple patterns that I just literally randomly plugged in and they worked out. And then I did the same thing with messing around with the gates. And then the patch itself does a lot of the work as well. All right, well, enough talk. I'm going to go ahead and just perform this song for you. Thanks for sticking around if you have so far. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, follow me on Instagram at microwaved_nachos. We'll see you next week for Modular Monday.